All right, we're live. Hi, Club Amore. Welcome back to another video. So this is our Worthy Women Winning series, and my name is Dejanay Knuckles, also known as the Worthy Mother, helping you birth your self-worth and redefine your perception of relationships. I am a single mother. I am an author and a divorcee. Um, and I am now a grad student getting my master's in marriage and family therapy. And so, though this is my journey now, it was not always like this. Um, I found out about my ex-husband's infidelity, and through my healing process and rediscovering like my self-worth, is when I came up with this series. I just wanted to showcase women who are thriving after divorce, so that the women who are still struggling in divorce and in separation can know that there's joy and freedom on the other side of their pain. And so, if you are a woman who is separated or divorced, you can head down to the description box. I have a 10-week workbook for you. It's just a tool to help you to guide you through that transition. And also, I have a Facebook group, a Facebook support group. So, I also have my daughter. She may be in the background. So, if she interrupts, then we'll just keep the ball rolling. And so, without further ado, we have here Takara. If you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, just introduce yourself to our guests.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for inviting me on this platform. I'm so excited to be here and just talk about all the different ways that I'm thriving. And my name is Takara Renee, and I coach the strong woman to live her most authentic life outside of the workplace. Because, we've gone through I call it the life formula of going to school, getting a good grades, getting a good job. But then after that, but what else? And so I teach women about the what else to do so that they can live a life that they want, that's the life of their dreams, and a life that they deserve.
Nice, nice. All right. Well, we're just going to hop straight into the interview. All right. So, my first question to you and to everyone is what household did you grow up in? Was it a two-parent household, single parent? Was it a healthy or toxic environment?
So I primarily grew up in a single parent household. So I stayed with my mom during the school year, my father during the summer. Both environments were actually healthy. I just got two different styles of parenting. So
Mhm.
my mother was, very strict, very by the book, go to school, make the good grades, do all the
Mhm.
things. And
Mhm.
then after that, during the summer, I got to see my father along with the rest of my family, my grandma, my brothers, and all that. And so it was like super fun, super chill, super laid back. So
Mhm.
I got to see kind of both sides of the spectrum for that.
Okay. How do you feel like those two different environments, shape you in your relationships? Like as you start to get into relationships.
Now that's interesting. So because I got most of my upbringing from my mother,
Mhm.
I watched a very strong woman do life.
Yeah.
And my mother was in the military, so I moved every 3 years and
Mhm.
all of that. And so as I kind of look back, I noticed I took on a lot of her traits as a single mother. So she wanted me to, of course, make sure that I didn't follow in the same footsteps. And she taught me from the lens of a single mother. And so I took that perspective with me into marriage, which they're not compatible.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
compatible whatsoever. And so I think that was kind of like one of the biggest lessons that I took away is that we have to kind of look at the perspectives of which angle someone is showing us. Now, did my mom do right by me? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I survive on my own? Absolutely. Can I do any and everything that I need to do? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Did I know how to do that with a partner? Absolutely not.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that was that part of it. And then just kind of growing up with my father, like he gave me the love, the hugs and all that. So I did receive that part from him. I
Mhm.
just didn't get it all the time.
Yeah.
And so for me then in relationships. So if someone was like, gave me a compliment, it's like, oh, you're beautiful and this and that, it's like, am I really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I didn't hear it a lot, because I didn't hear it really until I got with my father, but that was 3 months.
Yeah.
So I at least got to see the strict side, and then I got to see the fun side, and then kind of try to juggle my way and mesh my way in
Mhm.
between the two. But when I got married, my husband was more so that fun side,
Mhm.
and then I was more so my mom, like that strict side.
Mhm.
So there is that. But I think you tend to just kind of match the person that you're around the most.
The most, yeah. I agree. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Um, so let's go into that. So, when you were married, what actually happened to lead you and your partner to divorce?
Ooh, so I am a journaler. And so I didn't even realize it, but the time that my husband and I, well, my husband at the time that we started dating was actually the time that I started journaling. So I literally have journals from the beginning of our journey, all the way to the very end of our journey. And it just got to the point where one day I said, okay, do you want to continue to live life like this? And because there had been so many things went on, that was just kind of against the vows. So there were instances just with a lot of deceit
Mhm.
with that, and then so it was like, okay, do you want more of this? Do
Yeah.
you want a husband that's not doing this? And then when we looked at our future down the line, like we made all these plans about everything that we were going to do. And I'm also in the military. And so I was like, okay, once I retire, you take over, kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I wasn't seeing that like as far as like something doable, because he wasn't pulling his side. So I was supporting all of the entrepreneurial ventures, and I was doing that with no boundaries whatsoever,
Mhm.
not holding him accountable for the part that he was supposed to do. And then so as I look back, and I was like, okay, are you holding him up, or is he holding you up, or is it both? And then so I still wasn't going to make the decision because um with my grandmother during the summer, like she really kind of ingrained in me like my relationship with God. So I was like, I don't want to get the divorce, I got
Yeah.
to stick with this thing now, I got
Yeah.
to.
Mhm.
So and we did everything though. So we went to counseling 3 different times. We tried all the different things, and so I said, okay, if you're going to do this, you need to make sure that you can leave knowing that you tried everything possible. You left no stone unturned. So
Mhm.
we went to pastoral counseling. We did the marital counseling, honey. We did marriage intensive. We did all of it. We did all of it. And then what finally made me actually make the decision was I read through all of my journals, and then I remembered a question my marriage counselor asked me. And she said, you said you have a younger sister, right? I said, yeah, I have a younger sister. She said, okay. She said, out of all of the things that you have told me that's taken place in your marriage, she said, is this the kind of relationship that you would want your little sister to be in? And I said, no, absolutely not. And she said, so then why is it okay for you? And I
Right.
could not answer her question. And it
Mhm.
took me 3 years to
Mhm.
finally get to the point where I could answer her question and say, this is not okay. And then, so once I got to that point, I was then able to move on, because then I felt like I was just completely free. I did
Mhm.
everything that I could, and I knew I could,
Mhm.
to play my part to make sure that I was like, all right, I did it all. I gave it all. Because some people give a half-hearted effort, and they're
Yeah,
like, okay, well,
definitely.
I mean, I'm here just so I don't get fined, but I mean,
Mhm.
we're done. No, I gave it all of
Mhm.
it. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I've done what I could.
Yeah. Yeah. So you think that that was the point, is like, now I've done everything that I could, so this is it. If it's still not working, then it
Mhm.
means this is it. Okay.
Yeah, I've done all I could, because I do believe that a marriage can be sustained after infidelity, but
Mhm.
both sides have to want it.
Yeah.
And so, like, my marriage had all the infidelities,
Mhm,
it had
mhm,
the physical, it had the emotional, even there was, some financial things in there as well. And so I'm like, if two people can come to the table and say, all right, I really messed that up, but we're going to work together to make this happen and it won't happen again. I
mhm.
think a marriage can be sustained. However, if it comes up, they say, I really messed up, it's not going to happen again, and then it does happen again, then I
Yeah.
think that's when you have a decision to make. But I think that's also why it's very good for us to have boundaries in place. And my
Mhm,
boundaries were trash,
mhm,
complete
mhm,
trash. Because when I was dating, I thought I had very good boundaries. Because
mhm.
if you did something that seemed any kind of sideways, I
Yeah.
was out. You ain't, I'm like the, what is it, the TikTok baby? You ain't got to worry about
Right.
let me
Exactly.
pack my bag.
Right.
Right. But then when I got in my marriage, I was like, I can't wash my hands of this. I can't just
Mhm,
be like, I'm out.
mhm.
So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to stay in here. But then
Mhm,
I went from having the very strict boundaries to like no boundaries because I didn't know what to do with it.
mhm. What boundaries do you think you needed in your marriage?
So I think, well, I needed a few boundaries.
Mhm,
The the first one was me supporting my husband's entrepreneurial efforts. That was the first one. And so I went all in. We both went all in
yeah.
with it, but we should have had a boundary to say, okay, I am going to focus on this full time for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And if it's not bringing in this type of revenue, if I have not garnered this type of customer base, if I don't have this, then I'm going to have to get a job
Yeah.
until this can catch up with that. That I feel like that really should have been one of our boundaries to hold each other even accountable, because to me it's like, okay, you can do an entrepreneurial venture, but if you're not bringing in any money, then
Yeah.
honestly it really just kind of becomes a very expensive hobby. And then
Mhm.
do you have that in the budget to have a very expensive hobby?
Yeah.
And for us it was not really, not for the goals that we had. No.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. All right. That makes complete sense. So how did you go into healing after your divorce? Or were you like so completely far already gone that you felt like you didn't really need healing after?
Oh, no, 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 no. So mine was, I feel like mine was very progressive,
Hmm.
because even when my husband and I had separated, I still wasn't sure
Yeah.
completely if we would get a divorce. And
Hmm.
then, so from that point, once we at least decided to separate, what I then decided to do was I took a step back and I said, I'm just going to take my hands off and I'm going to observe. So everything that he told me that he was going to do, is he doing that? And
Hmm.
I just observed. I didn't make any comments. I didn't ask any questions. And then as I observed, I was like, he's not. He's
Yeah.
just making, excuses. He's not still not fulfilling his end of the bargain. And
Right.
then so after that, I then decided to file for a divorce. And for Texas, you have to wait 60 days before it's actually finalized. So
Hmm.
then in that 60 days, I got wise counsel. So I fasted, I prayed, I journaled some more. Other people prayed with me. And what I appreciate though about the people that I did call is
Yeah.
that they didn't say, don't get a divorce.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't say you have to stay in it. They said, I can't tell you what to do. They said, of course we wouldn't want that for you. But that they was like, this is between you and God. So you journal, you talk to him, and whatever way he leads you, and whatever way you have the most peace,
Yeah.
that's where it is. And so I did that. I got a therapist. As soon as I
Yeah.
filed for divorce, I had a therapist the next day.
Yeah.
And so I talked to her, and what I appreciate about her was she actually walked me through the process. And she said, these are the things that you need to do if you think that you're going to reconcile. And
Mhm.
these are the things that you need to do if you feel like you're going to get a divorce. Because she said, what happens is when you separate, you're still on very good terms with the person. And
Mhm.
so, whatever it is that you feel like needs to be done, whatever business needs to be done, she
Yeah.
said, this is the time to do that. This is
Yeah.
the time for y'all to have a discussion. She said, because once that ink is signed, she said, I have seen things get very ugly. And
Mm-hmm.
so you need to have these things set in place. So him and I, we had a lot of discussion, but it was still difficult. And then once we got the divorce, I was like, whew, but I was still a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was still a mess, and I think what was most difficult
Mm-hmm.
is because I decided to go back to my maiden name. I got so tired of having to explain to people over and over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again that I was getting a divorce and that
Yeah.
I had to change my name back or
Mm-hmm.
that I had to do this. Like everything was divorce, divorce, divorce. And
Mm-hmm.
like it would just be to the point where I could only really talk to somebody for like 2 to 3 minutes, or I just like bust out in tears or
Oh, yeah.
something like that. And
Yeah.
then even at work, being in the military, I'm changing my name back. There's paperwork I have to fill out. So now I gotta fill this whole paperwork out. Everybody now in my whole entire company knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta pass it here,
Yeah.
pass it here. They gotta sign this, they gotta sign that. I'm like, I gotta ask for permission to change my name back.
Yeah.
So now my name is changed on the outside world, on the civilian side, but
Mm-hmm.
I go to work still wearing my same name. So now
Mm-hmm.
I got like
Yeah.
all of this stuff going on. But
Mm-hmm.
I think once I finally got through that point and just kind of got through that phase, went through counseling and just felt what I needed to feel, because there was a time where I used to make myself busy and just
Yeah.
kind of like suck it up and go be like, girl, it's fine, you got it. But I actually felt what I needed to feel. And then
Mm-hmm.
I just started doing things that I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, well, what's this one thing that you've always wanted to do? And for me, that was to write a book. I had actually started, I just never finished. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's how I got into like a business coaching program. And then the book turned into an actual coaching program. Then it turned
Yeah.
into something else. And so here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Thriving. Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. That you actually took all of those different routes of healing, like therapy and seeking people out and wise counsel, all of that. That is great. So my next question is about like future. So like going into the future of love, what are you looking for? Like, what will be your new non-negotiables or green flags that you will be looking out for that a person will have to have for you to even entertain them?
Ooh, my new non-negotiable. So my one thing is alignment.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like if we align in our core values, if we align in the future, if we align with what we see that ultimate vision being, and it actually coalesce, like it doesn't conflict with one or the other. Like that's honestly the main thing I'm looking for. Someone like self-aware,
Mhm.
extremely self-aware, and then someone that's not opposed to going to counseling, because I think too a lot of times we seek help too late.
Yeah.
And who's to say, who is to say, like if my husband and I had gotten counseling earlier,
Mhm.
could that have made a difference? I mean, it's very possible, but sometimes we're just not introduced to it until it's too late, and then we've had enough. So going into my next relationship, particularly my next marriage or whatever,
Mhm.
definitely I want us to go to counseling like as a tune up. I'm like, cars get tune ups and ain't nothing wrong with them. I'm like, so why can't we treat counseling the same way and just, work out whatever discussions, whatever it is. And then that way we can always be clear on our communication and our comprehension.
Yeah,
of,
definitely. Yeah.
like
For sure.
comprehension of it all. They definitely have to be a believer, but that'll still fall right in line with my core
Alignment.
beliefs and core values.
Mhm. Okay, that's awesome. Um, so going back to like thinking about yourself before any relationships, what would you go back and tell yourself about relationships? Yeah, what would you go and tell your younger self about relationships before you even
Child,
started
I
relationships?
would tell my younger self, baby, date them all. Honestly, for real though, I would
Mhm.
literally tell my younger self, date them all,
Mhm.
because I was one of those where, oh, you think I'm cute? Oh, I
Mhm.
think you're cute too. Oh, yeah, you want to go together? Okay, let's
Mhm.
do it. And
Yeah.
then that was it. And then
Mhm.
there wouldn't be anything else. We wouldn't ask any more questions. It
Mhm.
is what it is. But then I find now that I'm in these dating streets, um, when you date them all, you can now take bits and pieces that you like.
Yeah.
And so then you get a very good idea of what you like, because when I got into my marriage, I didn't have a very clear idea of what exactly I liked. I just knew
Mhm.
I thought he was cute, and we had a good time together. Then when
Mhm.
I got married, I was like, "Ooh, child, we opposite. What's
Yeah.
this about?" And so, but as you date different men, as you see different personalities, then
Mhm.
you can kind of see, okay, this meshes with me, that not so much, that not so much. I do like this, I don't like that. And then you kind of get to see the kind of men that you mesh with. You
Yeah.
also get to observe the kind of men that you're attracting, because if you're not attracting the type of men that you want, then now, all right, I got to go back to myself to see
Yeah.
what is it about me that's attracting this type of man in particular. So,
Yeah.
for my younger self, date them all.
Yeah. I've never heard anybody say that, but that is that is yeah, I agree. Like because you just don't know what you don't know. So, yeah.
No, you don't. And then on top of that, you may have think that you have just found the cream of the crop. And
Mhm.
then someone else will come along and just swoop, sweep
Yeah,
them right on out. And you be like, child, my standards was not high enough. Hold on, let me go
exactly.
higher.
Mhm. Yep, exactly. Um And so this is wrapping everything up. This is our last question. Um, so what would be for the women out there who are separated and divorced that are still struggling? What would be your biggest piece of advice that you would give these women from your experience?
Biggest piece of advice. I think my biggest piece of advice would be kind of like what my dating coach always says, because I had to get a dating coach. Um, who do I need to be? Plain and simply put. And so, who do you need to be to get the kind of results that you want to get? If you want to go out here and date, who do you need to be to get that? Do you need to go outside? Probably. Do you need to,
Mhm.
um, who do you want to attract? What is it that you want to do? Who do you need to be?
Yeah.
Some of us, we just need to be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more aggressive with some of the goals that we have, because we just kind of expect it to fall into our lap. But there are some things that you have to do. Faith without works is dead. So, a lot of times you're like, well, I'm just waiting on my Boaz.
Mhm.
That's great. But unless he is Amazon or the UPS guy or something, then you might have to go outside and socialize and smile and look friendly so that people actually do want to speak to you. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, that would be my one thing. Who do you need to be
Yeah.
to get what you want?
All right. Well, that is awesome. Who do you need to be? All right. Well, tell everyone sorry, tell everyone where they can find you on social media so that if they want to connect with you or join your program or anything, they can do that.
Yeah, that went by so fast. Okay, so you can find me on Instagram. That is my playground at Takara_Renee. So how you see it on the screen, but with an underscore in between. You can find me on Facebook as you see it on the screen, Takara Renee. And then I have a podcast called A Letter to My Sister. So we talk all things that I wish that I had known about self, relationships, money, and career. So the outside piece. So we have a lot of discussions about that. And also, like I said, I coach the strong woman to live her most authentic life outside of the workplace. And
Mhm.
so I have what I call the dream coaching program for that. And that is to take you to focus on yourself first so that you can then start to live the life that you want. Because I find for a lot of us, in order for us to get what we want, for us to be who we need to be, we got to fix some things within ourselves first. And so once we have ourselves set up the way that it needs to be. We've got our boundaries in place. We're taking care of ourselves. We got our self-care. We got all of that stuff in line.
Yeah.
Then we can go out and get all the rest. We can get the community, the organization, the romantic relationships, the experiences, whatever it is that we want, we can then go out and get it because now we've got ourselves in order.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I will leave all of her information in the description box so you guys can reach out to her if you want to join that program. But yeah, we will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye.